Brett, we are so happy to have you join us today for this first episode of BTI Brief. Brett Fletcher is from Canada. He's from the Spring Water Ice Inc. company, also known as Party Ice Canada. And Brett is the president of the Canadian Association of Ice Industries and has been a long time Routeman client. And so we've had this relationship with Brett for 8+ years. And we had a specific thing that happened in the ice industry that we wanted to take a few moments and draw attention to.
Yeah, Jeff. Brett, our last podcast that actually got released this past Friday was with Chris Lamont. So, he's a lobbyist for the IPIA. I think you probably know Chris if you have had any dealings with the IPIA, but he's been working with them quite some time. During that episode, obviously ice is food is the mantra here, for the IPIA. And, a lot of the majority of the discussion was all about ice safety. And we know that it's kind of a story. You were on a radio spot, became a radio spot, right? So you gave a call in. Give us some insight of that call that occurred. And then after you give us a little bit of insight, what we want to do is we're going to listen to that podcast. But give us, if you could, just a quick synopsis of that call.
Yeah. It actually started, a bunch of people were, well, first off, I'm happy to be here with you guys and appreciate the intro. But it started with, my phone started blowing up. Some people were hearing this bit that was coming on the radio talking about how all of the ice that you buy at gas stations is bad for you. It's not clean. It's, you might as well be drinking or using toilet water and so forth. It was supposed to be a fun bit that this MC was talking about, and my phone, it was just text message after text message saying, you need to hear this. Somebody's talking about how all the ice you buy, blah blah blah, is bad. And as soon as I heard gas station, it doesn't matter whose ice company it is, everybody gets painted with the same label, because it just, the way it came across was, anytime you go and buy ice, it's all bad and it's not good for you. You just basically, it's good for cooling. You can't use it for drinks and all and so forth. So because in one of our other companies, we do some advertising with this radio station, I had a contact and I started texting her and I'm like, what is this bit on ice that you're talking about? I said, this is not good. It's bad for our business. What are they talking about? And anyway, it aired. And it sounded really bad. And then in full disclosure, what he was trying to say was talking about, like, if you go in and use one of the Polar Pop type ice dispensers or something like that. But it's not the way it was presented. And then, of course, when he called me back, we set up a whole phone thing. He apologized. Now him and I are he's a fairly well-known I guess VJ in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and he's like, now we're like texting buddies now and everything, and he felt really bad, but he took a full spin on it, made it fun and informative, and did some editing and took a call from me, and as you'll hear the bit, it kind of spun full circle.
Yeah, right before we play this, I do want to take a mention. That's one of the things that Chris brought up last week was, how he brought up peanut butter, and when there were the illnesses that were being caused by the peanut butter, peanut butter across the industry suffered. It wasn't just brand specific, and there are definitely brand specific brands that you could sit here and you could name off several big ones, right? But in the ice industry, it's even more cataclysmic, if you will, because it's just ice. I mean, and everybody wants to get away from it. But we're going to go ahead and listen to the bit.
The huge reason why you should avoid ice from those ice machines at gas stations and hotels at all costs. And the reason is they might be filthy. Some studies have found toilet water and ice cubes to contain the same bacteria, such as E. coli. I should have said, though, this applies only to the loose ice in the ice machines, not the bagged ice. Back in 2006, a school student shocked the world when her science experiment revealed a whopping 70% of the time, ice cubes contained more bacteria than toilet water. So after I talked about this on the air, I received a number of phone calls about this. People very concerned because they don't want to get sick, right? So to put your mind at ease, I called an ice expert, Brett Fletcher from Party Ice. And if anybody knows ice, Brett knows ice. Brett sits on a board for ice quality. They are always testing and doing comprehensive research on ice. Brett, please put people's minds at ease that there is nothing wrong with the Party Ice you buy in bags.
Yesterday kind of caught us a little off guard, talking about gas stations and ice being dirty. And in fact, a lot of cases that is true for the loose ice that's not handled correctly, not ice machines aren't cleaned correctly. But you can rest assured the ice that you buy in the machine, the bags that have Party Ice on them, the bags that have the International Packaged Ice Association logo on them with our name essentially in all gas stations, the grocery stores, and so forth from here to Quebec is safe. We do daily testing in labs locally here. We do that weekly with an extra level of testing to ensure every consumer that buys a bag of Party Ice is safe. We have lot codes, recall plans, everything in order to make sure anyone going to the beach, to a party, wherever they need to go, is consuming, cooling, whatever they want to do with that product, it's safe to do so.
So I must apologize that it slipped my mind to mention that it's the loose ice, not the bagged ice, in the machines. I actually saw somebody in a hotel one time climb in an ice machine with their shoes on, and then they got out, and I saw somebody else go to that ice machine and take ice out of the machine for drinks, and I was like, ooh, gross.
That's certainly the ice you were probably alluding to. Even in regular ice machines, if they're not cleaned correctly and frequently in restaurants, in hotels, and so forth, you're 100% accurate on there could be some problems there if it's not done correctly.
Now, Brett, you're an expert, and you've been doing this a while. How long?
I've been doing this since 1994, selling ice, and there are some other places that people can go. It's actually called safeice.org that people can go and see more about this, and that study from that girl is in the publication in safeice.org and all of that. It's amazing that people don't think about it, but it's a real thing.
But the Party Ice is good to go.
That's right. Appreciate the clarification, and thank you very much. And hopefully the warm weather comes back and we can get people to the beach and parties and have a very enjoyable summer.
Right on, Brett. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So, Brett, after listening to that call, I think about calling into a radio station where someone has, kind of said something that offends you or is clearly wrong in your opinion. It takes a little bit of courage, maybe some passion, some gumption. How did you feel about calling to make that connection and say, hey, this isn't right, and I want to set the record straight?
Yeah, it didn't take a whole lot because I did have a relationship on one of in our refrigeration business with this radio station. So I was texting my sales rep, and she's like, what do you mean? And she didn't understand, or like she had no clue how it actually did offend and could have hurt my business specifically, because we have a large market share in our territory. And she went right to the president or the GM of the radio station. They listened to it. They understood my views of how it could be detrimental to, or the way it was going to come across to others. And then, so then they did the whole bit. He called me right away. He said, look, tell me when there's a good time to set up a call with you. Let's spin this back, blame me, absolutely put it all on me and make it fun. And as you could hear he apologized. He everything was really well done. And now it's just one of those things that it was very informative. And then we put it on Facebook. They had a picture of an ice machine and kind of showing the differences of what we were talking about, and the packaged ice and all that kind of thing. And I think he mentioned Safe Ice. .org, the website, and all these sort of things. And then later on, just last week, I'm getting other people who are doing some marketing research for us asking about what is safeice.org and just trying to get the message across. I mean, I've been on the board with the IPIA. I've obviously being the president of the Canadian Association. We're very high on our standards with food safety, and this was just one of those things that it was an avenue, good or bad, however it happened. It was able to get just a little message out there, and the message was simple. And now people are paying attention to it. Some people in their comments on Facebook were like, I just go to my fridge, I do this, and just stupid things, but that always happens. But we know how much ice we sell. We know what we do to make the process safe for everyone. And it worked out.
It's a lot more to it than just freezing ice, right?
Yeah.
Chris had also mentioned, it's not hard to understand the mechanics of making ice, but to make it clean, make it safe, that whole process is a endeavor that isn't taken lightly, right, by the ice industry. And if you're going to slap that ice is food logo on there, that proper steps were taken to make sure that it's good, clean ice that you're going to be consuming. So. Like you said, I was just thinking while you were mentioning it, and you kind of followed up at the very end of your last discussion was, taking what thought was a negative into making it a positive. And, kudos to the radio station for stepping up and, wanting to clarify it. And, kudos for you to step up, because otherwise, how many people might have heard that and then they start talking. And I'm not saying it would have went viral if you hadn't called in. I'm not saying it's going to be viral that you had called in, but it is definitely an opportunity that you took. And I know the entire ice industry is appreciative of that fact. The last question really we wanted to ask you about this BTI brief was, and I think I already know the answer because I think you kind of answered it going through this, but did you ever have a moment that you thought maybe this could hurt your business if the call went poorly?
Yeah, I think because he was very receptive to the owning his, and it wasn't really a mistake. It was just his way of that he was going to present his little bit, and he realized what it was going to do to us if it was taken the wrong way, and even if 10% of the people took it the wrong way, well, then maybe it could be an issue, right? Sure. Now people could be just making their ice at home, or who knows what they might do, or just not use ice, whatever. But I guess anyone that's passionate in the ice industry, and it's funny because John Smybert, he was so happy when he heard the bit, but and Maria as well, and they put it on the IPIA site. But just the way it was presented, gave us that avenue. I corrected it, and it's the first time we actually got a little bit of exposure in that manner, even though we plaster it all over our Facebook. It's on our bags, it's on our websites, everything else. It was just an avenue that was made, a fun way, and we were able to get the message out there. And if 50 people heard it or 5,000 people heard it, it's something. So
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, that's the way we feel about BTI. So
yeah.
Well, thank to you for standing up for your company and your brand, but for everybody across the board.
Yeah, Brett, thank you again for joining us on this BTI brief, and we really appreciate it, and we look forward to catching up with you in the future. So have a great day.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.